How are you guys today? I hope that you've been having a great weekend. I hope that everything has been going well, everything has been flowing smoothly, and we are back for another marvelous Monday. And today we've got a great human. It's very rare that you will find great humans in the world, but this lady is definitely one of those great humans out there. We've got Miss Nakia Forbes with us. Hi, Nakia.
Hi, Anastasia.
How are you today? How are you?
I am good, and it's so good to be here to share in this moment with you.
I am hoping that you enjoyed your um, holiday, even though for those of you that don't know, the streaming audience is a little bit wide, but we are both based in the Bahamas, both Nikia and I. But currently, I am in Nassau and she is in Exuma. And so we've got a cross-water connection going on. And we have had our actual Independence Day yesterday, which was Sunday, and is actually celebrated as a holiday today. So, Nakia, what did you do with your extra day of the weekend?
Well, as you say, I'm in the beautiful island of Exuma. And if you've never visited, I encourage you to come. You can swim with the pigs. You can enjoy the beautiful beaches. So I'm just relaxing, enjoying the nice food here. I visited Grand Isle last evening, and it was a nice experience. So I'm having a blast.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I won't tell the viewing audience how jealous I am of you going and leaving me behind. I won't say it. I'm not going to put you on a guilt trip while we're streaming. I'm going to wait until we're done with that, and then we're going to get into that guilt trip. I'm going to make sure to take you on that. But today we are talking about expressing your feelings. Expressing your feelings. Now, Coach Ricardo had a blog out today that discussed it, and I saw that there were a lot of interesting points on there. It's so informative, and it gave me so much new information that I didn't think of before. So, Nakia, did you have a chance to read it?
Yes, I did sure read it. And it talked about, when you're successful, there's a lot of, you know, haters that will come along with it, and just the idea of people not supporting you, or you just suppressing some things that you should express to others.
Mhm. I think it's a huge topic here. On one hand, just personally, us as a people, and not just Bahamian people, but human beings generally, we have a hard time expressing ourselves and finding the words to say what it is that we really mean. And then, communication is not only just what you say or how you say it, but also how it's received. And so I believe that this expressing your feelings is not only from a factor of you being able to express yourself and give the words and the emotions and, using the right verbiage to get your point across, but also how it's received by other people. And
Yes,
so that's
indeed.
the
'Cause
two
even
ways you want to kind of approach it.
yes, because even as we grew up, we were told little girls are supposed to be seen and not heard. So you didn't talk a lot about things. And I have a teenager now, and she's very expressive. So I'm happy to allow her to express her feelings because there are times when she doesn't want to talk, and I want to know what's going on. So it's so important to create that freedom for us to express ourselves.
Right. And I know that I am very, very guilty of having difficulties expressing myself sometimes. I just got that reminder the other day. But what I do remember also is that a lot of times boys are told not to cry, man up, you boys don't cry. You're not supposed to express yourself in that type of way. But tears make you feel better. If you've ever seen the movie Inside Out, you learn that sadness is a part of your growth. Sadness is a part of you getting through things. It's a part of your healing process a lot of times, or your the process that it takes for you to figure things out. And so when I looked at the blog, I saw that success has enemies. Now this part I did not know. And we always talk about, having enemies and feeling like people are against you and things like that. And, when you've reached a certain point in your life, there are persons that'll try and pull you down. But to actually have a name to the behavior and have a name to the characteristics, the character traits that are being used as enemies of success, I found that to be so, so amazing. So Coach Ricardo gave us, the enemies of success, which are jealousy, envy, resentment, ridicule, and hate. I I was just blown away because we can look at jealousy, right? And we can look at envy. And we would think that because they're so similar, they would kind of be falling along the same lines, but they actually do present themselves in different ways.
For
What's your
sure.
thought?
I just want to, as you call out those words, ridicule came, as a highlight for me because, being in leadership positions, there's always people who feel like they could do things better or they feel like you should be doing this and doing that. So it's hard sometimes, but in making your decisions, it's making decisions that you know are best for employees, best for the company, and just being able to have a clear conscience on what you decide to do so you can sleep peacefully at night. So that ridicule will come. And sometimes you question yourself, did I do what I should have done? But just being full of integrity and riding on setting goals, well, sorry, making decisions that will are a part of your moral makeup, your integrity, your I'm fumbling now. I'll have to reset that, but just making good decisions that you can live with.
Right, right. And not just live with as hopefully a narcissist or someone that is power hungry because they can live with some stuff that they've done. No, but
Mhm.
in being a good person and as a leader wanting the best interest for your staff or the
Mhm.
company that you're a part of and the people around you, people feel that. They
Yeah.
feel it when it is that you actually are doing something that's in their best interest, even if it goes against what it is they want to do initially.
Mhm.
If the end result or the place that you're coming from is
Mhm.
a good natured place, they're usually more accepting of things like that, even from people in leadership positions. But
Yeah.
I think the word hate is so strong.
Mhm.
I think it's such a strong word to hate somebody for their success. You ever had an experience like that?
I sure did. And I would say the haters help you to grow and help you to be better because I remember about 10 years ago, I used to have like a really messy desk. My desk, you couldn't figure out what was on my desk. And there was a girl, she was very critical. She was always negative, and she would say to me and others, if you were to go on vacation, no one would know what to do next because your desk is so messy. And it helped me to be better because I now have a clean desk. There's more organization of my whole workspace. So her being a hater at that point helped me to be better. So the haters can push you on to just be a better version of yourself.
Right, right. That's when you use that criticism
Mhm.
constructively, even if it wasn't meant to construct you.
Mhm.
You take it and you use it as something to build from and to, make those positive changes. But then there, of course, those being able to do that consciously isn't always realistic,
No.
especially sometimes when the hate for your success isn't coming from people that you can just let go of easily. Sometimes it's your family that hates you also. Sometimes it's persons that you consider to be your very close friend that all of a sudden you see their behaviors change, and when they said you're doing something, they're not a part of it. Cause they all of a sudden they gotta walk the dog at the very exact same time as your event or what it is that you gotta do.
Mhm.
Suddenly the dog is sick and they gotta go to the vet or something of that nature. So I guess it is a very real thing. We gotta look out for it. We gotta make sure that we're paying attention to it. But then also, what would you how would you encourage someone when it comes to them expressing their feelings? Right? I
So,
know
mhm.
I can speak for myself personally. I have this tendency to shut down a little bit when there's a difficult conversation, and it is a conversation on nearly anything else. If it is something concerning work, if it is something concerning my kids or whatever, it's fine. I have no problems talking about it. I can always find the words. But when it comes to more emotional things, how I am feeling in the moment, or, how a certain situation or anything like that made me feel, and I'm asked about it, I have a tendency to shut down. Or if I'm really angry, but we're not talking about being really, really, really angry right now. We're going to talk about other emotional stuff. So, how can you help us, or what advice would you give us on being able to express ourselves effectively?
So you talk about the friend who would walk the dog in a time when you really needed them. I am someone who is a big cheerleader. I'm a big cheerleader for anyone and anything good. So there were times in my life when I had some successes and I was depending on some of my friends to, say, comment on it. And I didn't get any response. I wasn't looking for any, but it was just surprising that they didn't respond. And so for me, after feeling a little disappointed, as time went on and allowing my feelings to, to show up at the right time, I would have I had that conversation to say, hey, I didn't see you show up for me at this point. It was a little disappointing. And, just finding the right time to have that conversation about that thing that made you feel a little indifferent and just being honest and open about it. Not, I guess, talking about it right at that time when I was feeling some kind of way, but letting time, letting time, let some time go by and then just have that conversation with them and just be candid and open about it. And I'm good that I have friends who I can express myself to. And then it's always good to have someone who you can talk to about anything with no judgmental thoughts, coming from them, someone who's supportive. So I have some persons in my life who I can share with that helps me to be able to express those things that I may not express with most other people.
It's some great info. That's some great info. I heard that you mentioned letting time go before um, confronting the person or approaching the conversation. So tell me a little bit more about the significance of that, because I know, like I said, when it comes from a point of anger. You want to give it a minute and you're going to want to take some time with it before you say the wrong thing and you tell them something that is really ridiculous. But how do you handle, or why is it important for you to let time go before speaking? Billy, I think we lost her.
Ah,
Hi.
hi.
Okay, so I'm not sure how much of the question you heard, but I was asking. I heard you mention letting time go by before speaking to the person and approaching the situation. So, what would be the significance of that? Because I know that when you're angry, it's definitely something that you need to do. You need to make sure that you don't say the wrong thing and ruffle too many of those feathers. But in different situations, what would be the significance of waiting before you approach it?
So I think it's all about emotional intelligence. It's knowing who you're interacting with. So I have a friend who I can come right at her with anything and it just bounces off and she's more receptive. And then I have some friends who I know I need to figure out the right way to say it so it doesn't, get into anything any bigger. So it's just knowing your audience, knowing the individual, and you'll know the right time. So you make sure you're saying the right thing, not to cause any more offense. So some persons I might go back to sooner than others, knowing them and how they would receive my communication.
Oh, okay. That's some great advice. That's definitely some great advice. Knowing the person well enough to know how they're going to respond to it.
Mhm.
It's very important.
Yeah.
So I also saw in his blog that persons have a tendency of suppressing their feelings to keep the peace. Yeah. And I do not want to say that I've made that a habit. Definitely in my later years, I've learned that it's better for me to express myself and to let you know what it is I'm thinking and I'm feeling rather than for me to go to bed with it. I'm not trying to lose any sleep. I'm not trying to toss and turn. I'm not trying to lose any thinking hours still holding on to this situation when you're fine. You're over there thinking everything is good and you're not having any issues because you don't know that you did something wrong. And so you spoke about knowing the person well enough, you know, for the time that you're going to give. But
Mhm.
have you had a situation where you approached the person and you still did not get the response that you were expecting?
Surely I did. And it's just realizing sometimes you're going to have these offenses. You may not even be wrong. You may be in the right and there's no apology. And for me, I've just learned how to forgive. So I often crack a joke and say I have a master's degree in forgiveness because I'm one who may be overly forgiven. So forgiving. So for me, if it's not resting well with me, I'm gonna have that conversation. And after that conversation, and sometimes it don't go how I would want it to go, I just resolve to move on from it, forgive, and it's always a lesson in it as well for me.
Well, like I said, I want to look at both sides of it. When someone needs to express themselves, but then also receiving that type of information from somebody. So not just you being able to give what it is that you're thinking and feeling, but also being able to receive what somebody else is thinking and feeling. So I want to look at, you know, tips of expressing yourself, right?
Mhm.
So I saw that the first one is acknowledging your emotions. So how how would you break that down for us? Acknowledging it first.
So for me, I journal. So a lot of times I write out my feelings. I have a grateful list, and then I have a list where I pray for the things that I want and need. So I find that a tip for me is writing it out, writing out how I feel about things, writing out my prayer for how I want things to work out. And I can look back things that I've written years ago, prayed about, and I can see where God has, worked it out for me. So that's one tip I would say in expressing yourself, writing it out. That helped me.
And that is another tip that is here. But
Ah,
yeah, it is. But another one that I'm seeing is to verbalize yourself productively.
mm,
And I think the key word in that one is probably productively, doing it in a productive way, not just verbalizing yourself in venting. Because, we have a tendency to just ramble and
mhm.
just keep going and going and going and going. And sometimes it turns into beating a dead horse where
Right.
you're just continuously just going, going, going at the situation.
Mhm.
And it's not producing anything. It's not so much making you feel any better. It's not helping the other person to understand how they're making you feel. Because a lot of times when we do that venting and rambling, we're not talking to the person that actually offended us.
Mhm.
We're
Mhm.
not really talking to the person that actually made us feel a type of way. And
Mhm.
so when it comes to verbalizing in a productive way,
Mhm.
what would be your thoughts?
So I would say it'd be choosing your words wisely. So it's always your approach in everything that you do. So choose your words wisely. Your tone, pay attention to your tone and everything like that to make sure everything comes across as best as you say, productive as
Yeah.
can be. So those words are important.
What would be a word that you would use if you need to tell somebody? Yes, yes, I am going to do that. If you
Yeah, okay.
tell somebody that what they said to you
Mhm.
the day before, because remember we're giving them some time before you approach the situation. So we are going to do that. So they said it to you the day before, and
Mhm.
they said that they didn't like how the color purple looks on you. But it's not just them saying that, but the words used were, "Girl, why you always wearing purple? And I don't like how that look on you." What would then be your response?
So for me, you always learn about coming at people. You did this, you did that, you did that. Just saying to that person, when you said this, I felt this way. And, is accepting me for who I am and the color that I choose, to wear. So it's just the approach of telling them how you felt when they said whatever they said and not just going, you this, you that, you know. So having that kind of approach where you're telling them how you felt, and hopefully they'll have some empathy and see where you're coming from.
Okay, so if you needed to tell me that you don't like the color purple on me and you didn't like how I looked yesterday, how would you tell me in, a kind of constructive way, not to crush my little ego, don't shrink me.
So I'll be like, Anastasia, I always like how you put yourself together. I think I prefer you in white. It brings out your eyes, that kind of way.
Okay, okay. So your method would be to suggest another color for me
Yeah.
to so that I could lean more in that direction Then okay, I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
I understand that.
But
I understand.
even so, my aunt and I just had a conversation about, friends, and sometimes your friends, some are so high maintenance and some are just easygoing. So it's just not putting pressure on people, allowing them to express themselves. They want to wear purple, you accept them for where they want to be, what they want to do, what they want to wear in that moment. It just makes life so much easier where you're supporting, you're complimenting, and you want to be around people who are gonna. I read the other day, who light up when they see you. So just your whole, as you gather with people, you want to be that one who they would want to be around. You would not want to be someone who is tolerated. You want to be celebrated. So just your whole attitude toward everyone every day, helps.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I noticed also in the blog. Yes, I'm referencing the blog because
Yeah.
it's a blog. It comes out every Monday,
Mhm.
and information in there is absolutely priceless. If you have not hooked up with Coach Ricardo yet for your coaching sessions, you are missing out. You are absolutely missing out. But the free knowledge that's given on a
Mhm.
regular basis can be found in the blogs. And I saw that he has in here that unexpressed emotions will never die. They are
Mhm.
buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways.
Mhm. Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Because I know how I would take something like this, but I want to hear from you first.
Oh yes. So as I
Correct?
was growing, yes, as I was growing up, my mom would always say stress is the number one killer. And she talked about a lot of things that stressed her out. She kept a lot in. She didn't express a lot of, how she was feeling. And now growing up and learning and just getting more knowledge about things. So much things could happen to you, high blood pressure, all these other illnesses that fester because you're holding so much in. So for me, with that knowledge is more of finding a peaceful place, not holding these things in, letting them go, not being bitter, being able to express yourself and share your feelings and get it out, and not just keep it all in. There's so much bad things could happen with you keeping all of the everything in physically.
That is so true because
Mhm.
everything starts out with your mind.
Yeah.
And so when your mind is heavy and you feel that burden in your mind, a lot of times people don't understand why they feel tired so much. And it literally drains the energy
Mhm.
out of you. It literally sucks away at your life. And then
Mhm.
when it's not dealt with at that stage, then it moves into more harmful things. Like, I I actually saw an episode of ER where there was an older lady that was, I don't want to say dying. It was an old episode. I watched it a long time ago,
Mhm.
but I would want to say dying from a broken heart.
Mhm.
Her and her husband had been married forever,
Mhm.
forever and ever and ever. And
Mhm.
when he died,
Mhm.
she wasn't dealing with it well.
Mhm.
She's an older lady. She's a grandma, and
Mhm.
well, they depicted her with white hair and everything like that. So I'm assuming, the kids are grown, they're already out of the house, different states, living their own lives. And the one person that she had to, carry on and continue with her is gone. And so, like, she was actually dying from a broken heart. They running all of
Mhm.
these tests and can't figure out what in the world is going on with this lady. Why is all of this happening to her? And it turned out that that's basically what it was. And so when they put her with a therapist, and she was
Mhm.
able to work through some things. And they called her kids and let them know, because next of kin and all of that, they let them know what their findings were. It's amazing that they showed that she actually made some progress and things started to move in a different direction for her. But the next tip that I have here is expressing yourself creatively.
Mm.
And so they have examples of the one that you gave, which was journaling. They have poetry. They have creating stories that reflect what you're going through. Is there anything else that you can think of that would be like a creative outlet?
Sure. I mean, for me, I have found, music is life. So I express my feelings through song, through singing, and there's every morning I wake up with a song, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that song isn't necessarily what I am going through or dealing with. Sometimes it is, but I have this morning song where I post morning songs, worship songs. I sing, so a lot of my expression comes through my singing. And me and my friend Davina, we recently joined together, created a duo, DN duo, and we sing, and that's our expression of happiness. That's our creative way of just coming into a happy place. So that's another way of expressing ourselves, singing, dancing, and being able to release those endorphins that will, you know, contribute to your overall health and well-being.
Okay. That
Mm.
I've heard you through stream, I think, in singing before. Now, I'm sure that the entire audience will agree with me in saying that you have a singer's voice.
Mm.
You just in speaking, there's no doubt to anybody that, in singing, that just goes all the way up because, that's a whole other level of expression from just having a conversation with somebody. And so I know that when it is that we all get another opportunity to hear you guys sing, I know that Davina couldn't be with us today, but when you guys get together and there's another opportunity for you to um, put on a performance and to give everybody a show, I am definitely looking forward to it. Um, at the end, we're going to make sure that we have these opportunities and we have our methods of reaching out to you. We definitely got to make sure that we're going to be able to reach out to you. But as far as tips for receiving, we're getting into the receiving portion of it now.
Mhm.
Receiving somebody's information, receiving how somebody has expressed themselves to you.
Mhm.
How would you advise us to get past that? Because, even with the color situation, I don't like that color purple on you. In response to something like that, I can say, okay, then, well, I bought it. That's my color purple. Why are you worried about my color purple? What is my shirt doing to you? Now, that would be a bit feisty. It would be a bit off-putting. And I'm sure that the person who decided to tell me about my purple shirt isn't going to want to tell me about anything else anymore after they've already gotten that type of response from me. So, can you give us some tips on receiving somebody's expression of emotion?
So with receiving, just as I mentioned earlier, with the person who is saying, you need to get your desk in order and the like. So it's taking the message and seeing where you can be better. There is, you know, there is putting some thought into what the person would have said, and taking a second look to say maybe I do look better in purple, and receiving what from that message what you can work with, and then just releasing what's not for you. So it's
Ah,
more purging what's just not for you. Take what you can use and purge the rest.
oh, okay. So we're going to take an approach of this, like how Sunday church is. You take what's for you, and then you leave the rest on the table.
That's right.
Oh, okay. All right. I got you. I got you. I like that. I like that. I
Mhm.
think that one of my tips would be to practice.
Mm.
And so that would be practice in giving, information, trying to be sensitive about how it is that you approach somebody, because you never know what people are going through. And you may
Right.
just that one day, that one time that the kid
Hmm.
was knocking right that morning, the car didn't start on time the way you wanted it to, and traffic was horrible. And that would be that one time that you decide to roll up on them with something crazy. So you got to practice your approach, and then also practice receiving. Um, when it is that someone approaches you, you consider the source of where the information is coming from. Like we said earlier, there are people who will just say things to you just to hurt your feelings.
Hmm.
And that's a part of that hate that Coach Ricardo mentioned. But there are also persons who will say things to you because they just want to see you do better and be better. And
Yeah.
so you got to practice receiving it and taking these statements and breaking them down and saying, you know what, like you said, this part is something that I can use constructively. This part, I really don't care about because ain't nobody going to tell me about my clothes. I already buy it, and that's that. And, practice. You practice in giving criticism or giving and expressing your emotions, and also practice in receiving, because when someone tells you that you've offended them, you don't have the option of saying, no, I didn't offend you.
Right.
You can't tell me how you made me feel, but you can't accept that, okay, this is what I did. And then, change your movements going forward. So, are there any other tips that you would like to leave with our audience? Anything that you would like to say in leaving and closing and reminding us to make sure that we express ourselves effectively and also receive other person's emotions as best as we can too?
Surely, I would like to just leave with telling the audience that I was at a place where I never liked public speaking, as an example. So, expressing myself to an audience was, something I dreaded. I joined Toastmasters, and Toastmasters has helped me a lot with even connecting with my audience, feeling more comfortable speaking in public, communicating effectively. So Toastmasters was one of the organizations that helped me to be able to communicate more effectively, express myself more effectively. So that was some training that I got to help me in that regard. So I would just encourage the audience as in closings to be your authentic self, as mentioned in the blog. Express yourself. Don't let things fester. Share how you feel, and you just feel better afterward instead of holding everything in. So express yourself.
My tip would be watch the movie Inside Out.
Okay.
If you haven't watched it yet, yes, it's a cartoon. Yes, it's a playful approach to things, but it's definitely a great movie to see. I've watched it a million times, and that would be my advisement, to watch Inside Out. But along with that, Nikia mentioned you joining a program like Toastmasters to help you with your expression and how it is that you bring yourself across and present yourself to people. But also, I would advise getting a coach. There,
Indeed.
there, if not a coach, as in a professional coach, a mentor, a guide, an accountability partner. My best friend Tiffany is definitely my accountability partner. And I am hers. Strange enough, I am hers. If there is a scenario that I know that I'm going through and something that I know I need to talk about, but I'm not sure how I'm going to approach it, I'll run it across her first. And then she'll be like, you're a little bit too rough. You
Mhm.
need to take that word out of there and replace it with something else or whatever else. So she has been my coach slash mentor slash accountability partner. And so if you're not within access of a program, like Nikia mentioned, then maybe you can look around in your circle for persons that are around you who are honest enough with you and also have your best interests at heart enough to be able to say to you constructively what you need to do, what you need to work on as a person to help you become better. And so that is it for us. Nakia, you're going to tell us how persons are able to reach you.
Sure, you can find DN Duo, DN242 on Facebook, or personally, Nakia LaShawn is my handle for Facebook as well. It was certainly a pleasure.
Thank you so much for taking this time out with me. You are so insightful. Your smile has not dropped or faded through this entire thing. Always, always such a ball of energy, always such a positive light everywhere, every situation. I've never seen this lady on a bad day. I've seen her on a bad day, and it still wasn't a bad day, y'all. I'm telling you, just a great human. If you're trying to reach me, you can reach me through my platform, which would be Be Becoming. That is it on Facebook and also on Instagram. And thank you guys for watching. We enjoyed your company. I hope that we were able to help you in some sort of way. And like we said, if you can't join a program, get a coach. You're looking for a coach, there's one available to you right on the frame. Enjoy the rest of your week, guys.
Bye bye.